All right, so we are going on to a little bit more with the equations in the mole, but we're going to start looking at limiting reagents. Now, what the heck is that? Sometimes after one reagent, remember the reagent are the stuff in the beginning, is completely consumed in the reaction, some of the other reagent is left over. The reagent in which is completely consumed limits the extent of the reaction, which is why it's called the limiting reagent. So you have all these keys and just a couple doorknobs. You're going to have excess or extra keys when you totally use them on the doorknobs, right? So what is my limiting reagent? I only have so many doorknobs or locks that need to be undone. So that is my limiting reagent. They're completely used up and I have extra or excess keys, right? So here's a sample exercise. If 2 moles of silver are reacted with 2 moles of chlorine to form silver chloride, what is the, number one, what is the limiting reagent? Number two, how much of each reactant remains when the reaction is completed? And finally, how much of the silver chloride is formed? So when I'm told this, the silver and the chlorine form silver chloride, I can do a balanced equation. I can figure out the equation. So solid silver plus gaseous chlorine gives you a solid, because it's ionic, silver chloride, right? And balancing it out, because chlorine is a diatom, you got to put 2 and 2. All right, so let's see. What do I do? How do I figure out the limiting reagent? So what I would do, what is the easiest for me, is I make 3 columns. What I have, what I need, does it work? Yes or no? So let's start with what I have. We are told we have 2 moles of silver and 2 moles of chlorine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that and put them under what I have. And then I'm going to process through one at a time. So if I have 2 moles of silver, according to the mole ratio in the balanced equation, if I have 2 here, I need 1 mole of chlorine. All right, well, how many moles of chlorine do we have? We actually have 2. Does this work? Yes, it works, because I'll have 2 chlorines left over. Awesome. All right, what if I have 2 chlorines? Well, if I have 2 chlorines right here, I put 2 up here, 2 moles of them, then how many silvers would I need? Well, if I've got 2 here, I'm timesing the 1 by 2. Whatever I do here, I have to do to this one, so I would have to times this by 2 on its own, meaning I'd need 4 moles of silver. Do I have 4 moles of silver? Looking over here, no, I do not. So when I react 2 moles of silver with 1 mole of chlorine, all of my silver is used up. It is my limiting reagent. So if you see a yes, that means that's my limiting reagent. Now, if I only have 1 mole of chlorine, after I do that, I have 1 mole of chlorine left over. I cannot use this bottom one because it will not work. I do not have enough silver to make this work. So silver is my my limiting reagent in this reaction. Now going to my yellow pages. Oh, sorry, not yet. My bad. How much silver chloride is formed? Well, if I've got 2 moles of silver that react with 1 mole of chlorine, I've got 2 here. It's a 2 to 2 ratio, aka 1 to 1. So if I have 2 moles of silver, I'm going to have the same amount of silver chloride produced. So if I have 2 moles here, I'm going to have 2 moles here. All right. Let's do some theoretical percents and yields, okay? So this is just like a little tiny step forward, or a little tiny step more. So a theoretical yield. This is the quantity of product calculated to form when all the limiting reagent is consumed. All right, so if I go back and I look at this, and I want to know what my theoretical yield would be with the silver chloride, my theoretical yield of the silver chloride is 2 moles. I would take that 2 moles and calculate with that. All right, my actual yield, that would be what is given to you in the question, would be the experimentally obtained. So you would put the actual yield over the theoretical yield and multiply that by 100. But here's the thing, we don't, unlike percent error, where we want it close to 0, this number we want it close to 100% because you want to yield the most amount, right? All right, let's do some examples in the yellow pages. So say I have this reaction. Nitrate, I think it's nitrate, and water gives me, nitrate plus water gives me hydrogen nitrate and nitrogen monoxide. All right, so when I'm looking at nitrogen dioxide, and I combine that with 6 moles of that with 4 moles of water, what's my limiting reagent? What's my reactant, excess reactant? So first off, what do I have? What do I need? Is it yes or no? Let's start with the first one. I have 6 moles of nitrate, nitrogen dioxide, sorry. I have a little issue with that. So if I have 6 moles of this, how much O2 would I need? 6 moles. So 3 and 6, that is 2 times the amount. If I have 2 times the amount of here, so 6 moles, how many waters would I need? So I times this ratio by 2. So if I have 2 times the amount here, 2 times the amount here, I would need 2 waters, 2 moles of water. Okay, how many did I actually have? 4 moles. Will this work? Absolutely yes, because I'll have 2 moles in excess. All right, so yes. Let's see, if I have 4 moles of water here, how many how many moles of nitrogen dioxide would I need? So if I have 4 here, I have to multiply everything by 4. So multiplying 3 by 4 gives me 12 moles. Well, do I have 12 moles? No. No, I don't. So no, it won't work. Meaning my limiting reagent has to be the nitrogen dioxide because it's a yes. My excess, the thing that I have more of, that I have an excess of, is my water. Okay? Let's look at the next one with a little bit more. All right, atoms and molecules. Guys, don't keep those terms, but don't mess with it, right? What I mean by that is we've got what we have, what we need. Well, what we have, I have 50 atoms of sodium based on this reaction. If I've got 50 of them, 2 into 50, that's 25. I need 25 moles of chlorine, right? Because it is half of that, which means I need 25 moles. Well, how many moles or molecules do I have? I have 100. Do I have that? Yes, absolutely I do. Now, if I have 100 molecules of chlorine, how many sodiums would I need? Well, if I have 100 here, I need 2 times that amount, 200 sodiums. Do I have 200? No, I only have 50. It won't work. So my limiting reagent is the sodium. I have an excess of 75 molecules of chlorine when doing this. So that is my excess. I have too much of it. All right. Well, how do I figure out the salts? How much salt is produced, this NaCl? If this is my limiting reagent, I can only go based off that. So if I have, it's a 2 to 2, so like a 1 to 1. However many of these I have, I will have in the salt. So if I have 50 here, I'm going to have 50 here. All right. Let's go a little bit further. All right. I have 4 moles of methane reacting with 4 moles of oxygen. What I have, what I need, does it work? Yes or no? All right, what I have, I'm going to start with methane. Methane, I have 4 moles of methane, and if I have 4 moles of this, I have to multiply everything by 4. What do I need for oxygen? 2 times 4 is 8 moles. 8 moles of oxygen. Does that work? Absolutely not. I only have 4 moles. So if I have 4 moles of oxygen, that's just double. I need 2 moles of methane. Do I have 2 moles? I actually have 4. I have an excess of 2 moles. So yes, that works. Meaning my limiting reagent is the oxygen, while my excess is the methane. Well, what is my percent yield if I have 0.69 moles of carbon dioxide? Well, if I have 4 moles of oxygen, how many carbon dioxides are produced? Well, 4 moles, when I do the mole ratio, there are 2 moles of oxygen to 1 mole of carbon dioxide. 4 divided by 2 means I will have 2 moles of carbon dioxide produced when I use 4 moles of oxygen. So taking that as my theoretical, I now have my actual. I can divide that by my theoretical and multiply that by 100. When I do that, I get roughly 34.5% carbon dioxide produced. Not a good yield, by the way. All right, so that's it for the notes. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please, please, please do. Don't forget, you're going to be doing your study guide after we do the homework check for limiting reagent and percent yield. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Hope you guys have a great day.